there's Kevin with Rogue Deck Builder / Gone Rogue Games here with a little bit late to the party discussion about Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate. So I had a lot of people ask me how I liked this format, how I liked this set, and I finally did get the opportunity to play a 8-man, so 2 4-man pods draft with the pre-release kits. And the promo that I opened was the Nero Wild Mage. So first things first, I really did enjoy this. I'm a huge limited player. I like these kind of wonky formats, like playing Commander in a limited format. I think is very, very fun. I like the spirit of Commander. However, I absolutely despise Commander in the state that it's in now. And I think the Commander's even going to get worse after this set because there's just so many cards in Battle for Baldur's Gate that I think are just must-includes. White has 2 of them now, that basically every white deck's just going to throw the 2 cards in there. And then there's many other cards throughout this that were in this set that I think are going to go in the vast majority of Commander decks going forward. Because the power level is actually quite high in this. I know this set was a set that people didn't like, but I think people are overlooking a lot of very, very powerful cards that exist in this set. So Nero Wild Mage is the promo that I had in my pre-release kit. I decided to marry Nero the Wild Mage, which is a terminology we use in draft when you try to build around the card, your pack one, pick one. It's often not the best thing to do because you don't know what's going to come, and so often you want to stay as open as possible, but I really like the abilities on Nero Wild Mage, and so I thought I'd just go all in on Nero, and hopefully I can get enough cards to make it work, which I end up doing so, which is good. Both the opponent on my left and the on my right, I don't think we're in either blue or red, so I got a lot of kind of cream of the crop pickings for Nero Wild Mage. So what I like about Nero is Nero works very good with ramp too. So you can pick up ramp cards and even like cantrip cards very, very early because they're so good early as far as ramping out Nero Wild Mage. And if you draw them late, you can actually just put them on the bottom of your library and try to cast something better off the top of your library. The one thing that I was missing in this draft was some good finishers. I just was passing them up. A lot of like the 7-drop dragons and stuff I was passing up for like mana rocks and stuff. But I think this deck worked out pretty well with all the ramp that I was able to pick up and then being able to establish some of these value kind of tax effects that I was able to get. And we'll show that in a second here. So let's read off Nero Wild Mage's ability. 6 mana for 2/7. The 7 toughness is actually quite relevant in this format because it dodges a lot of the good removal. There are some negative X spells where it's hard to get up to 7. It is pretty decent versus like cards like Slaughter the Strong because you can pick this and maybe a few other creatures to keep around. And yeah, it's just a really, really good card once you get the engine going. Whenever you cast a spell, you may put it on the bottom of its owner's library if you do reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a non-land card. You may cast a card without paying its mana cost and put the rest on the bottom of your library. So again, with ramp, it's cool if you get out early. You just cast it to help ramp out Nero. If you get it late, you just put it on the bottom and then hopefully hit something good. Now, pack one, pick one. I was lucky enough to get a card that synergizes really well with Nero, which is Wand of Wonder, because this one can actually cast your opponent's cards, and then if you don't like them, you can put one of them on the bottom of your opponent's library and then cast a card off the top of your library with Nero. So this is kind of a nice little synergistic combo with these two. This ended up being quite the powerhouse too in the format. Wand of Wonder, I would say this is a spec card if you watch my Rogue Market channel, but this is the promo in the bundle, so I don't think it's specable at this moment because of how many bundles are in existence. But this one was my pack one, pick one, synergized perfect with it. 4 mana and tap. You roll a d20 for each opponent exiles cards at the top of the library until they get an instant sorcery card, and then you may cast up to X instant sorcery spells from 1 cards exiled this way without paying their mana cost. 1 through 9 is 1, and 10 through 19 is 2, and 20 is all 3 of them. So a very, very powerful card because this is something you can basically rely on using the best of your opponents. It's basically 4 mana for 3 cards. And then you choose one of them to cast. So it's a pretty powerful effect. So really, really good pack one, pick one. And then I started picking up these ingenious artillerists because I knew I was going to go in a lot of treasures and mana rocks. And this is just a quick way to tax away your opponent every time an artifact enters the battlefield. Whenever one more artifacts enter the battlefield under your control, it deals that much damage to each opponent. So little tax was something that I was hoping to actually make work with this ingenious artillerist. So some of the key cards I ended up picking up. We got an early Swiftfoot Boots, which is really good to help protect our commander. A Basilisk Collar is just really nice. It actually synergized with the card that I'm going to show in a second, so this was another early pick. The Tavern Brawler was pretty cool because it just gives your commander's ability to exile a top card of your library, and then you can play it until end of turn. So it's just a draw spell every turn, kind of like your Outpost. What's the other cards it kind of does? Red usually always has one of these effects, and that's a common though. That's kind of crazy. I guess it's a common though because you can't go in Pauper because there's no commanders. Shiny Impetus. These are kind of cards that are cool because you can put on your opponent's bombs. they can attack you and generate treasure tokens is nice. This Wheel's Reversal was really nice, being able to redirect targets for 3 mana. The Modified Memory, this one is actually really, really good by exchanging control of 2 target creatures. This one I was able to, I think, get a Council of 4 off my opponent and just got such insane value off of it. And then the Arenicas Vile Duplication, this was also a cool card because it allows you to copy even a commander, and then now you have double effects of whatever you're doing. So the Vile Duplication was really good. In that said game, I was able to copy the Council of 4, and then I had 2 of them, which just gave me a ton of value. I think this is my pack 1, pick 2, was this Gale Waterdeep Prodigy. Whenever you cast an instant sorcery spell from your hand, you may cast up to 1 target card of the other type from your graveyard. If this spell would be cast this way, exile. So again, you just start to get so much value out of these cards. Could have been my alternate commander. I could have seen, going these 2 for the red blue. That would have been nice too. I think that would have been a pretty good value engine, but decided to go with Nero. I think Nero was just better to get out on the field and start getting a ton of value. So the other route that I started to go, so first of all, let me show you all the ramp. I was in pack 1, I was just picking up ramp. So things like Inspired Tinkerer puts out 3 treasures, exiles 3 cards from your library, you can cast them to the next turn. Just a really good value card. We have Price Statue, which generates a treasure when it comes into. Not as good in this particular deck as something that wants to sacrifice treasures and stuff, but I thought I included it anyway because it does ramp out Nero, and if you draw it late, you just put it on the bottom. We have Fire Diamond. I was able to pick up 3 Fire Diamonds. The Fire Diamonds were everywhere. So 3 of them were able to pick up, so we could definitely rely on ramping into Nero. This Noble's Purse is kind of cool too, by being able to generate some treasures. So it comes in enters the battlefield with 3 coin tokens, and then you can remove a coin token to create a treasure. So another way to ramp, and again, that's pretty good with these Ingenious Artillerists when you are late game. Navigation Orb, this one's kind of neat. Didn't get any gates to go with it, but it's just a 2-for-1. You sacrifice it and put in 1 basic land and put another one in your hand. Pilgrim's Eye, card in hand. Burnished Heart, better Navigation Orb because they both go on the battlefield. Bronze Walrus, again, another way to ramp. And this Lapis Orb of Dragonkind, another way just to ramp. Ramping was super important to get into the Wild Mage as I drop all my cards on the floor. So then afterwards, I started late. This is pack 2. I think I've picked up my first one of the Lozon Dragon's Legacy. And I think pack 3, I was able to get another one. And these are kind of cool because they actually combo together. Whenever you cast an adventure spell or dragon spell, Dragon's Legacy deals damage equal to that spell's mana value to any target that isn't a commander. So why they kind of combo together in this deck is Nero, it doesn't ever have to enter the battlefield. You just cast it. So you have this one in play. And this is actually how my deck worked. This is how I won the game. So you cast Nero, and you have Lozon out, and then this Lozon goes to the bottom of your library now and does 5 damage to something. And that's where Bassus Collar. You can even hook up the Bassus Collar. That's the synergy that goes with it. And all these other dragons too just started picking up dragons after I saw those ones. So the stats even aren't that great. Initiative is fine. You get a treasure token or something. What's the first thing? I can't remember what the first thing of the dungeon is, but I didn't really have a lot of ways to move up the initiative. But still, a 0/4 blocker, giving something haste and menace, it was fine. It was just really using this just for why I picked him up late because I got the dragon going. The young red dragon was really good. I would have preferred a lot more of the 6 and 7 ones that had adventures because you can cast the adventure side and then deal the damage. Then you can cast the dragon side and put it on the bottom of your library and deal the damage. And that way you can just start cycling through your deck. Reckless Barbarian dragon that also ramps. Sword Coast Serpent. I wish I wouldn't have passed up as many of these as I saw because you can return something to its hand. And then, again, 7 damage to any target. Pretty good late game. Patron of the Arts. Same thing. This one creates a treasure token and is a dragon, so it ramps and does what it needs. Looter. Something good early if you need to start drawing and discarding. Otherwise, it's just another dragon. And we had another Bard. And last but not least, we had some of these nice little combos here with our big-time control card, which is the Meteor Golem. So Meteor Golem is what we're really digging for with Nero. And once it's out, we had these blurs, which can then exile and bring it back into play, and then run away together. So again, I was really light on the finishers, but with the amount of control I had in this deck with like bouncing and gain control of stuff, that was mainly the key finisher was this Wand of Wonder. It did put in a ton of work, and then being able to take my opponent's cards, their threats with the take control card, and then I was able to recast my graveyard as well with the card that allows you to cast the other card from your graveyard, the Galewater Deep Prodigy. So again, it wasn't the most potent strategy, most synergistic strategy ever, but it was definitely a thinking deck. That's what I like about Magic, is when when it's like a chess, when you have to figure out a puzzle. How am I going to outvalue my opponents? When am I going to use my removal spell? Commander players in general are pretty bad, in my opinion. They like to blow removal on non-threats. Their threat assessment's not as good as typically as your typical competitive player. And I do really like this format with the puzzle that it does allow you to solve, because you aren't really... That was one of the cons and the pros of this format. It was very, very grindy. The board state got very stalled out. A lot of times no one wanted to tack into each other. The Goads was super awkward with I have to tack in. Goads end up being a lot of times a 2-for-1 removal, where, someone would put it on the big threat of another opponent, and then another opponent would then have to, chump block it or whatnot just to get rid of it. Because it was going to continue to attack, basically them every turn. And so it makes for some kind of awkward board states, very grindy board states, which does allow the opportunity to, have a puzzle to figure out of where to use removal, when to, go all in on your cards and whatnot, when to hold things back, which is what I like about Magic, and why I'm so kind of bummed with the state of competitive Magic, 1v1 Magic now, with what I call just kind of I win cards and just duck cards. You're just going to, turn your card sideways. You're going to cast this card, blah. Like, Standard really feels like that right now, that everything's just so super powerful, that everything's a threat, and our answers are the best answers we've ever had in Standard. Like you have so many really, really potent answers that can answer any threat, and vice versa. You have so many threats that have to be answered. And it just kind of feels like these weird tempo swings of really just drawing well more than anything, which I don't like about... maybe I'm just looking back in rose-colored goggles of formats of yesteryears of brewing and building decks and whatnot. But I'm really liking Limited. I still need to do my rant video about treasures. I absolutely hate treasures in 1v1, but treasures are actually kind of fun in Limited. I actually really, really like treasures in Limited. So it's kind of a weird state that Magic has put themselves in with this evergreen mechanic of treasures and trying to help out the variants a little bit more, which has done just wonders for Limited, but is really broken, constructed, in my opinion. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'd really, really appreciate your comments in the comment section below. If you like this video, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And really looking forward to your comments of what you thought about Commander Legends. I really don't think this is a stinker set. I think it's a sleeper. I think it's very similar to something like Battle Bond. The supply is very high of this. I think we are headed towards some crazy times for Magic the Gathering. We're starting to see a lot of reserve list, modern staples like fetch lands. Things have been printed a lot that hold a high price tag. A lot of them are starting to enter the market. And I'm really thinking it's because people need gas money. And so I think we're going to run into kind of the good old 2008, 2009 era again of people cannibalizing their collections and things that aren't must to keep their head above water during these kind of crazy times that we are in now with the stagflation. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. This has been Kevin with Rogue Deck Builder. Thanks for watching.